What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Squad Busters. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I got a lot planned this episode. We have some challenges and events that we're going to be tackling, as well as just some general games and keeping on getting better and developing our strategy. Pinata party, let's do it. Guys, I am absolutely wired right now. Not in that way, but just I've been just on a binge of, we're going to get Greg here. Greg Gambit, let's go. I've just been on this binge of like the Jubilee, middle ground podcast, where they debate all the controversial issues and people are talking and arguing and stuff like that. So I'm just in this dialed state of mind right now where I'm just how can I just improve areas of my life, and that's kind of one of the things that I've been carrying with me and one of the reasons why I'm making these videos. Obviously, yeah, don't take that as a literal he says he wants to improve his life and he's playing video games, because it's not about that, because it's about developing the consistency and pursuing something that I feel I've deemed worth valuable to me, something that is scalable and something that will ultimately be an asset. Overall, just something that is worth doing, that my inaction, there is something to be said that doing this activity is better than doing nothing at all, that I've deemed very important, and so that's why I'm choosing to pursue this. This is why I'm making these videos out of nowhere, and hopefully in some way I can scale this. I mean, I really would like to, I'll say this, I'd like to experience the things that I have put effort into deserving, if that makes sense. I want to do this and put effort in and get the fruits of my efforts in time. That's not to say right now, but that's to say at some point it will be worthwhile, and the thing that I'm doing is a good thing that will benefit me later on. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I really just want to see where this goes, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm just kind of dialed in, just trying to figure out what I want to do. Not just today, but that's just life in general. What really am I doing? Why am I sitting playing on this game that looks like its graphics are made for toddlers? I don't really know, but I know I'm having a lot of fun doing it, and I know I'm doing it beyond just the scope of the game, guys. That's what's important. By that I mean, I'm playing this game, but it's not about just sitting at home, just playing a game. It's about, you guys see it, you guys don't really see behind the scenes, but the truth is I have a microphone next to me, I have a computer looking at the audio, I have a screen recording, I've switched my phone settings specifically so I can record this stuff. There's a lot behind the scenes, not just for me, but pretty much every content creator you watch. And again, I wince at the term content creator because I just feel like that's this kind of dingy, loose term, especially influencer. God, that's even worse. Unless you're legitimately influencing people to make change, I think content creator just makes more sense. I don't know, not to use an extreme example, but Nikado Avocado, who is he influencing if not to influence someone in a negative way, if that makes sense. Granted, I just got off of the fit people versus fat people podcast, so that topic specifically is fresh on my mind, but I'm sure you know what I mean by that. I don't know, I just think there's good forces and bad forces, and I think if you manifest one of those and really take it to its fullest extent and explore in the right direction, you will be able to find something fruitful in due time. And that is ultimately kind of what I'm trying to achieve right now, and this is just a stepping stone. I don't see myself 60 years old making Squad Busters content, but I'm trying to challenge myself by not thinking too far forward, because ultimately, you can only take it one day at a time. If you try to assume what's going to happen in 20 years, you're going to drive yourself mad, and you're most definitely going to be wrong, because a lot of things can happen. I mean, just in the last 3 months, I'm 20 years old, and my time here in Europe has just informed, who I am and what I want to do, and my mindset and my mentality, and the things I know, the things I don't know, and just the overall direction I want to take with my life. It's very subject to change in a way that I can't really explain. And I know it's to an extent a cliche, all these young people, they go out and they think that they can tackle the world and they know exactly what they want to do. you know, they were in their high school band for 4 years and they want to be a musician, and then they spend 2 years in college and then all of a sudden they're doing something else. And if anything, that's a more localized version of a much greater theme. I mean, some people go to college and they don't use their degree for anything, or, you know, anything like that. I mean, there's just all these curveballs that life can throw at you, and I'm talking about this, but I can't shake the feeling that I myself am a hypocrite. Not intentionally, but just by design. I don't think someone of my age can really say anything, and I would say the same for people in their 30s, 40s, really everyone. I don't think it's an age constraint kind of thing. I just think that life is going to throw you immense challenges and wrenches in your plans, but also a great deal of blessings and unforeseeable changes that will ultimately impact you for the better. So I am just sort of not letting those things bother me. I'm not gonna get overburdened by them, but I'm just going to simply take it as a necessary truth of life that may not be comfortable all the time, but I think it's far superior to accept that and take that in stride than it is to hide from that and kind of burrow up and let it get you down. So to an extent, I'm really doing all that I can be doing, which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're able to find out who you are and align that with what you believe your purpose is, and you take that to the fullest extent, I think that is the most ideal way to go. And obviously, I'll say it again, you know, I'm of no credit having not necessarily done something, but even the people who have, in air quotes, done something, I mean, their method may not work for you, may not work for anyone else. It's really just... Sorry, I'm actually gonna lock into this game here and stop rambling because these guys are hot on my tail. Gonna get this, run out, should have gotten the Barbarian King, but what can you do? These guys are super annoying. Making me lose my train of thought, guys. I'm freaking trying to philosophize here and they are getting on my nerves. But anyways, it doesn't have me downtrodden, but it is a necessary thing that you must come to terms with, that, you know, even if you have the firmest aspirations right now, like at one point I did, I mean, those things will fade, but I wouldn't recommend looking at it as fading. I'd more say that it's adapting and you are taking more nuances into your life that will ultimately inform a different and potentially much greater purpose. I don't know how biblical you want to take it. I really think that's to each and every viewer's discretion and their belief systems. I mean, you know, who's one person to comment on another person's ideologies unless they have a very substantial reason to speak from a position of authority, which I'm finding that in today's age is a lot less common than one would hope, because there's just a lot of nonsense, a lot of people begging for clicks, a lot of people who swear that they know what they're doing, but it's just because they want people to like them, and that's just a necessary truth that isn't going to go away anytime soon. So I just think that, you know, it's something that of course you have to take in stride. And can we get away here? I actually have to lock in. Oh, was that a... yeah, well, that's what you get. I guess this is sort of something that I'm talking about. I mean, this is one of those times life gets you down, you know, you lose your game. Thank goodness that I have... would you look at that? This has been the most philosophical episode I've had so far. We get busted. We all immediately think that bad things are happening. This is another time that life has pushed us down. But then for some reason, no matter why, I don't know if this is a glitch in the game or anything like that, but we still get the chest. We don't have to pay off our mighty fine that we would have had to pay otherwise. This is a peculiar scene of events. I'm sorry if it feels like I'm rambling, but I'm kind of just speaking as I think and really just conveying the things that I've earnestly thought on and sat about and contemplated for a really long time. So it's not to say it's a position of authority, but it's a well thought out, well explored, informed perspective, which I think accomplishes similar things as someone who would, say, really deeply explore a particular field. So I just think of myself as a connoisseur of life, and I enjoy providing commentary about things that I feel like I know a good amount about, enough to be at some extent useful to another person. That's ultimately what I'm trying to accomplish. But obviously there's, you know, things are unpredictable, I guess is what I want to say. Things, you don't know what direction you're gonna take. I highly recommend, if you feel like you have something you want to do not take this pessimistically. Do not think, oh well, if I'm just gonna change, why does it matter? Because the things you do now will ultimately gear you up for future changes. So for example, I'm doing this, and as I said, when I'm 60 years old, I'm not gonna be, you know, walking with a cane being like, welcome back to another episode of Squad Busters. But who knows what the future has in store for me. And if I have exemplified through my continuous uploads that this is something that I find interesting and something worthwhile for me to pursue, then that could inevitably adapt into something far more fruitful than what it is now. And that is something that I want to be prepared for, because I believe that life genuinely and frequently will give you sort of covert opportunities and things that you can explore if you're crafty and if you're vigilant. If you let them go over your head, then that's it. I mean, then that's just missed. But if you're able to position yourself in a way that you feel like you can maximize your opportunities, I think you can do a lot more than that, than just guessing and constantly going back on yourself. So I think there's something to be said about deeply exploring a specific area rather than loosely touching on a bunch of things. And when I mean loosely touching, you're especially able to do that now, given that there's all this social media culture, everyone's scrolling on TikTok all day. You're able to cover a wide variety of ground every single day by just scrolling on your phone. I mean, I certainly do that. I consider myself an intense intellectual, so I tend to gravitate towards content that's, you know, I'm learning something, but it's easy to get into that pitfall of, oh, I'm, for example, looking at a motivational speaker and thinking that that's actually doing something, because it's not. Of course, you're doing something, and I don't mean to say that condescendingly, but you are not doing nothing, that's true, but it is still inaction. What is doing something is you actually getting out of your bed and changing up your routine. But even if you see something inspiring on TikTok, that could be a tool to guide you in the direction that you're already pursuing. But if you don't couple the exploration you're doing with meaningful, intentional action, then you are doing yourself a disservice by not positioning yourself in a way to maximize your future opportunities. So that's what I feel is just a good standing point and a good way to construe life at a young age. I feel like it's a time of exploration, and not to become overburdened by the fact that there are going to be several things you can't change and several things you don't know how to do but wish you could. So I feel like to that extent it is about positioning and making the most of what is given to you, you know, making the most of the cards in your metaphorical deck to make the best decisions ultimately for yourself and pursue things meaningfully. So sorry if this seems like a little bit of a yap session, but this is just sort of the kind of stuff that occupies my headspace. So maybe there's going to be some people out there that think like me in this way, because given as young as I am, I do tend to philosophize a lot of stuff because I am, you know, I study math in school, and I believe that speaks to a certain kinness to wanting to optimize my life processes and finding the most ideal ways to enact the things I do day to day. But I do think that it is beneficial, and I think it is definitely superior to sitting in inaction. So with that being said, let me see if the things I've talked about have given me a good feeling. I'm a lefty, so let's go with the left. Bam. And it worked. And it worked. Awesome. Oh, new ability unlocked, the medic. That is huge. Heals the squad slowly over time, guys. I knew I had a good feeling. That is great. And we got 6 of them. Now I'm thinking the middle one, and we're gonna get 2,500 coins. Let's see, guys. Let me see if you guys are thinking the same thing I'm thinking. I'm thinking this is a really close one. I'm gonna go with the left one. And we got 5 epic keys. Can we see what we missed out on?